You are now about to witness the strength of street knowledge.
What's up, everybody? How y'all doing? It is your girl, your diva in knowledge, Lady Mocha, representing Mocha's Ladies Lounge. Go ahead and hit the like button because y'all already know I'm going to give a good sermon. Again, I want to appreciate those of you who have been tithing to the congregation. Thank y'all for the $10, $5, $2 cash apps. I'm so grateful. Thank you to my members that are faithfully donating to me every month. Those who just coming in, I appreciate you for taking the time to stop by and view the content. And for all my subscribers who just be always faithful, stopping by, showing love, I appreciate all of y'all. Thank you to all my mods, all my wrench holders. I appreciate y'all doing a fine job of supporting me and keeping all the trolling down to a minimum. So let's go ahead and get this started. So, I've been stopped being a fan of the Atlanta Housewives for quite some time, which is why I don't report a lot on it. I don't do too much content on it because I don't watch it enough to keep you ladies informed and give a review. I may end up having to do so eventually, though, just to stay in on the loop. But nevertheless, I begin to become more and more turned off by the show. Nene's big nose and big ego, which she done got her nose done, but I was getting more and more annoyed with Nene. She was really becoming like a thorn to my rib cage. I just absolutely, I'm not a fan of Nene. Whoever don't like it, oh well. I'm not gonna argue with you about why I don't like Nene. I just don't. I'm not a fan of Nene at all. I could tolerate all the ladies on that show except Nene. Even Portia, who I don't care for. I'll deal with Portia before I deal with Nene. I'm just not a Nene fan, okay? It is what it is, and I'm not about to argue with y'all Nene fangirls and all of that. But anyway, so I fell off of the show, mostly because of Nene. Her ego, it just got too much. And when Greg died, rest in peace to him, she really started acting like, poor me. I need everybody's support, and I need everybody to be there for me. And I'm just so over Nene, okay? I just can't. I can't with her. I just can't with Lanithia. But anyway, and of course she got with Naomi, before the ink dried on Greg's death certificate, and I thought that was rather distasteful. But yet, you had your Nene fangirls, your Nene praise team, who was trying to make excuses for her. Well, she has to move on, and Greg told her to move on and find someone else, and I'm just having a hard time believing all of that. As far as I'm concerned, he probably did, but at this point, if Greg didn't, I doubt, put it this way, if Greg didn't tell her that, I doubt she would be honest and tell us. I doubt she would say, yeah, Greg told me, he doesn't want me going out there finding somebody right away. If he did feel some type of way about it, hell, she ain't gonna tell us. And we wasn't there to hear his last words. But anyway, so she find Naomi, this Nigerian man. Then all of a sudden, it became a trend on the show Everybody's all of a suddenly, dating a Nigerian man. They even said at one point Phaedra had a chocolate African man, and then Nene definitely came out with hers. She didn't waste no time because Nene did not want to feel the funk of being by herself, especially after losing Greg, because she's used to having a companion. So nevertheless, she found Naomi right away, and of course that relationship ended quicker than a hot pocket out of the microwave. It got cold real quick because again it was rushed, and after the cameras were not around, Nene and Naomi had to deal with the real personality at hand. And a couple of times you did catch them together. You can tell he really wasn't into her like she was into him. Slowly but surely you can start to see the disconnection, that it was forced chemistry that no longer could be forced, and it ended up going their separate ways. But anyway, getting into the point with Portia, right? For whatever reason, these women chose to start dating foreign men, versus men within the country. I don't have a problem with that. I think all women deserve to explore their options. It should never just confine and limit themselves to certain type of men. But a lot of the times, what I believe is you have a lot of women who resort to dating foreign men because they just feel like they cannot get anywhere with men within their circle. Nene, for one, has not been able to really take men to date her seriously, especially within the industry. And Portia has had those same problems as well. We've seen Portia go through multiple relationships, after her divorce from Cordell Stewart. Her, trying to lock in Dennis, and Dennis was not going there. He was not trying to marry her. He was not trying to take her to that level. So we seen Portia get around like a cab, and she reached a desperate place, in which she was willing to get her a man by any means necessary, especially a man with money. You have to keep in mind, when Portia was married to Cordell, she was very young. She was in her early 20s. And Cordell is older than her, right? So, to be introduced to a man with that type of wealth, it's very intriguing to be in a beautiful home, nice cars, being able to travel, being able to do things. Once you get used to that lifestyle, even after the marriage does not work, because Cordell did indeed divorce her when she started allowing the women in the show to get in her head, telling her what she should do and what she shouldn't do when it comes to how she conducts things within her marriage. And her and Cordell had to understand it. But when she got on that show and got around other women who started making her feel insignificant because she was following the rules of her marriage, and like a dummy, Portia was telling them what Cordell would allow and what he wouldn't allow. Meaning, you can't, as a married woman, you can't sit up there and tell other women what your husband will allow and what he won't allow, because you sound like a child. You sound like a woman who don't have a mind of your own, and women will badger you for that, and everybody has rules in their marriage. It's just certain things my husband is not going to allow me to do, and vice versa. Certain things I'm not going to allow him to do. But I know if I were to share that, then it's looking like we're trying to control each other, when really we're just trying to protect our union, protect our marriage. And you have to have boundaries. If you allow your spouse to go any and everywhere, be with any and everybody, you opening the doorway to the enemy being able to step into your marriage. But anyway, I know I'm going all over left field, but we seeing it play out on national television, how Portia and Simon got together. And as much as you got all these individuals who want to praise, who want to praise and worship Portia, the whole bottom line was the way she got with him was definitely out of pocket. She came into Simon and Falynn's home, called herself building a friendship, Because again, no woman's not going to allow you into her home unless she feels safe or she trusts you. You don't have too many women. I know me, I'm very, very particular. I rarely have women to my house. If I do, it's definitely going to have to be a woman I trust with all my heart and my soul, because I just don't leave my door open to anybody. And I honestly, last time I had company was probably, oh my gosh, last time I had a female come to my house, a friend. It had to been like 10 years ago. And I'm dead serious. I'm not saying this for clicks and views, because I just don't feel comfortable with another woman who I don't know that well coming into my personal sanctuary. Your home is your sanctuary. You're not just going to let anybody there, you know, unless you're just kind of gullible or needy for friendship or company. But nevertheless, Falynn, and I'm sure it was due to the show making it a requirement, Falynn allowed Portia into her home, you know, and Portia stepped into this woman's home, saw how beautiful her house was and her lifestyle, and she automatically wanted that for herself. It was obvious, because she wasted no time when she got the word that Falynn and Simon wasn't together. She wasted no time DMing Simon and reaching out to him, but she didn't reach out to Falynn. So nevertheless, y'all, it's been a lot of rumors, you know, when Simon and Portia got together. Everybody was basically dragging Falynn, saying that Falynn had cheated on Simon, which I, for one, I never believed that. Still don't to this day. Then they turned around and said Falynn had got pregnant from another man, and that's why Simon left. I ain't believe none of that. None of that made any sense to me. It just didn't, because it was too convenient for them to say that shortly thereafter Portia and Simon got married. It was very convenient to say you know, Falynn cheated, which indeed Simon didn't even confirm that himself. I just knew I just knew it was BS. While everybody, the Portia praise team, her fangirls was trying to justify Falynn messing around, I never believed it. And so happened, I was doing my little digging in my research, and I didn't know Tisha did an interview with Falynn, giving her the floor to explain her side of the story, how the affair took place between Portia and Simon, the time frame. And when I say you know, big ups to Tisha Tales, and I'm gonna put her link, because whenever I use somebody else's information, I have to give them props. And she says she don't have a problem with us using her info, but to give her props and to let people know she indeed did her research. So make sure y'all stop by the Tisha Tales, show her some love, let her know that Mocha gave her credit. Mocha sent you there. I'm very big on that. If y'all don't do anything else, anytime y'all go to a content creator, let them know I sent you, okay? I just want these women to know I show them love, that I'm not around here using their craft and their skills, and I'm not giving them their recognition, because as a content creator, that's a big pet peeve. When somebody takes your info and they don't give you props, you talking about that's definitely not putting respect on somebody's name. So make sure you say Mocha sent you if you decide to stop by, whatever, and thumb her video up. We be needing those likes up, you feel me? So she did a long 2-hour interview, and when I say Falynn did not miss a beat, Falynn was very accurate with her dates, with the events, with everything that took place. She wasn't all over the place, you know, with everything not in sequence. We know when Portia talks, Portia be her conversation is like a helicopter, up and down and around. It's like an airplane all over the place. Falynn was very thorough, and I could tell Falynn had a hard time telling this story, because she had to relive the events as she was telling it. And I can tell that it was very painful and hurtful to even explain after relive and go back to that point in time, because like she said, she kept saying, I really don't want to talk about this, because it opens that wound, and any woman who's been betrayed or hurt before in a marriage can totally understand that. So I'm going to play some snippets. I'm not going to play the whole thing, of course. It wouldn't be fair to the content creator to play the whole thing. I just want to play a few segments of the main parts so y'all can understand. Falynn did not cheat on Simon, okay? Because y'all been pushing that lie. The Portia Praise team, y'all been pushing that lie for years. And that same lie is the reason why karma done came back to bite Portia and Simon. Because y'all sit up here and lied, trying to make Falynn look bad, like she was this hoish woman, when indeed it was Portia that was being the hoe. It is what it is. So anyway, y'all, I'm going to play some snippets. Furthermore, y'all, I want to, let me see if I can find it. I want to also see if I can find that snippet in which Simon talks about how he picks up women that tend to be very needy. So this will also help us to put the pieces together, how he ended up picking up women like Falynn and Portia. So let's first start off and play that as to why I'm going to play Simon actually explain what type of women he picks up. I want y'all to check this out. Hold on, y'all. I had to disconnect my Bluetooth. My bad. Okay, let's get it started.
Question, yes, sir. You said she cheated, but you blame everything on her. What about you? Naturally, I didn't blame everything on her. The part that I played in it is that because I hadn't addressed my childhood trauma, I continued to attract the wrong women. I try to rescue women. I pick the women who need me the most, that have some type of need that technically I'm not equipped to fix. A good question, yes, sir.
So basically, he just indicated that
Question, yes, sir.
he does pick up women that tend to be needy. That basically was his way of, trying to shade Falynn. Because like, I guess the question he was reading was like, well, why did you accept a woman who cheated? Why did you deal with Falynn knowing she cheated? In which we're going to confirm Falynn did not cheat, but that's the narrative that they was pushing out there so they wouldn't look bad. So basically he's saying he's always had the tendency to pick up women that were very needy, that seemed to be in a situation in which they were struggling. He tends to attract women that are needy. And he claimed with Falynn, he realized that what he was trying to insinuate was he realized that Falynn's needs was way beyond what he could produce. In other words, he tried to make it sound as if Falynn was very troubled and had issues. But if you think about it, that's pretty much the same thing with Portia. If we play it once again.
Blame everything on her. What about you? Naturally, I didn't blame everything on her. The part that I played in it is that because I hadn't addressed my childhood trauma, I continued to attract the wrong women. I tried to rescue women. I picked the women who need me the most, that have some type of need.
So he basically attracts women who are needy, and he said that, so if that's the case, it makes sense now how he ended up with Portia. Okay, and we know Portia is very much needy. He's always picking up women that are needy, and I think not just emotionally needy, but more so financially needy, because even Falynn said it was money for her, and we know with Portia it's money. So nevertheless, these are Simon's own words, and that was his way of gaslighting, versus saying that I messed up, I stepped outside the marriage and I decided to leave Falynn. He basically saying, hey, Falynn was already a troublesome woman. I tend to pick up troublesome women who are needy, who always have a need for something. So that was his way of gaslighting, not really taking accountability, by basically putting it off on Falynn. You know, basically saying that he's always picking up women that are needy. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and play a few parts of the 𝓜𝓸𝓬𝓱𝓪'𝓼 content where she actually interviews Falynn, and I'm going to be interjecting from time to time, so bear with me. That also keeps the copyrights down to a minimum, and that's also to reiterate an event. Y'all can't hear clearly the interview, so I'm going to be pausing in between. But let's go ahead and get started. Falynn is going to confirm Simon's fake life, fake relationship, and all of that. So let's get it going. Shout out to 𝓜𝓸𝓬𝓱𝓪'𝓼. Again, I'm going to leave the link in the bottom.
Hey, welcome everybody. Welcome my little tattletales. Yes, we are still sticking with that name, whether you like it or not. Thanks for joining us for a special edition of 𝓜𝓸𝓬𝓱𝓪'𝓼. And as I see, we have the gorgeous, vibrant Falynn here with us today. Falynn, before we start, I just have to say, I have a lot of people actually calling in asking, what's the origins of your name? That just popped into my head. Does your name have some type of special meaning? Did your mom just like the way it sounds? Because people are in love with your name. They just want to know what the origins are.
Falynn? Actually, she named me for Dynasty from the 70s. Yes, she did.
It was written. A soap opera was bound to pop up.
Move a little forward, y'all.
It's Jen and her husband. So, so we ended up going to Costa Rica, and then right after that we went to New Orleans. And from what I thought, we were on a good track.
Okay, so you guys, toward the end, went to Costa Rica. We have to ask, this fabulous mansion that Simon is flaunting all down, when you went to Costa Rica, did you ever see that property that he put all over the internet? The Costa Rica mansion, it's 8 bedrooms, it's in the Escanza neighborhood. Ring any bells?
No.
No.
Actually, see, I don't keep up with it, so I haven't seen it, but that's not the one that we stayed at, no.
The one that you stayed at, was that a vacation rental, or was it just a property that you actually owned?
That was actually a property that we were looking to purchase together, and we were going to do some work on it and use it as a rental property for other people.
Now, my sources actually tell me this is the same property. I don't know if you kept up with Simon's feed back then, but he actually showed on his feed showing a property that was adjoining pools and was separated by a bush, and he was a hedge. And he was showing, saying, "Oh, I love my life." It seemed like he was scouting. My sources tell me this is actually the same property that you guys actually stayed at.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you guys came back, and did you feel like that couple's vacation, rekindling anything? Do you feel like it worked?
Yeah. It did.
It did work, but however, there was something of a timeline with when was the next hiccup? When was the next hiccup? Now, Simon highlighted on security footage he showed, he highlighted that Valentine's Day, something in that area. However, I had a report that Simon wasn't actually in the family home during that time. Would you mind sharing that with us, or?
Oh yeah, that gets a little grungy. So February 15th, it's like, pre-Valentine's Day night, all the couples are out and everything still. So I ended up going to dinner. I ended up at dinner. It wasn't like planned, but I ended up at dinner with my best friend and her husband, the same one that came with us on the trip. And her husband is texting Simon, like, "Where are you? Like, what's going on? Where are you?" And he had his own plans, I guess, that night. He was out come to find out, he didn't respond to her husband. But come to find out later that night, he was out clubbing, and I spent bringing in Valentine's Day at dinner with, third wheeling. So, I mean, it was hurtful, but whatever. We were having issues, I guess. So maybe he just, I don't know. I really don't know. But we ended up going to bed after that. So I ended up meeting up with him later. And while he was out, we ended up going to bed. We woke up the next morning around 7:30, and on Valentine's Day morning, and he woke up and he said, I think I'm just going to take a drive. And I was like, okay, a drive? And he was like, yeah, I just need to be by some water. I just need to think. I just want to clear my head and, just get my spiritual grounds. And I was like, okay. I mean, I had done that once before when we got into a really heated argument, but I went to go stay with my parents in Panama City. I took all the kids with me. But he said that he wanted to bite off of what I did that one time. And so he packed up a little suitcase, or his little hoe bag. I call it a hoe bag. But his little, I know everybody's always like, why do you call it a hoe bag? I think it's a Southern thing, their hoe bag. But he packed up his little hoe bag, and yeah, he left. He said he was just going to take a drive. He may stop in Orlando, or maybe by Miami. He said he'll know once he gets to the turnpike. I was like, okay.
Okay, I want to pause right there. This is when you can tell a man is flatlining. He's checking out mentally. All of a sudden, I just need to go take a drive. I just need to go figure things out. 9 times out of 10, when a man is talking like that, he's trying to make a decision, meaning that he is involved with someone else. And part of what it is, the other woman is pressuring him, asking, what are you going to do? I'm not going to be waiting on you to make a decision. So at this point, you can tell that Simon had already been checking out. Like I said, she mentioned earlier, when they went to Valentine's, with the night before Valentine's Day, she went out with her and her bestie and her bestie's husband. The bestie's husband even reached out to Simon. Simon did not reply back. Simon was out clubbing, so Simon been snaking and moving foul. And see, this is the part a lot of the bloggers are not talking about, exception to Teacher Tales and a few of them. This is why I'm covering this, because it's too many people who've been pushing this lie. Like, Simon was just this wonderful husband, and Falynn was the one who cheated and messed around on him. But let's continue.
So he left. Later on at 10:30, around 10:30, 11 p.m., he finally called me and said that he just ended up driving to Miami, and where he stayed at a condo then. Yeah, so, go ahead.
So, sorry to interrupt. So you mentioned that you had done something like this similar, where there were relationship problems, and you took the kids and you drove down to your parents' house. At this point, when you say kids, I assume you mean the 2 boys that you were co-parenting with Simon and his second wife, and of course your boys. Did Simon take the kids with him, or who got kids?
No. He didn't take any of the children. When he was gone, when he went to Miami, he ended up staying away from the house for 2 months. From that point, I believe he was between Miami, Costa Rica, and Colombia. Okay, I don't know what that's. And so no, he didn't take any of the children with him. I had the children when he was gone for those 2 months.
In other words, he was doing him so much to the point that his own kids didn't even see his ass. Continue.
You said you had the children. Which children did you have? Did you have your bonus children and your biological children, or was it just your biological children?
Correct. I had the bonus children and my biological children. His 2 boys, and my 3 boys. And just held down the fort and did what a mother does.
No, you said that you actually held down the fort. I mean, I can imagine if my significant other, let alone husband, is like leaving, and at this point he had told you that he was going to be gone for 2 months, or did the 2 months just spread out? Like each day you discovered that he wasn't coming home tomorrow or the next day, or did he tell you, I'll be back in 2 months?
Yeah, no, it wasn't planned. He just ended up just not coming home for 2 months. Within those 2 months, there was times where, I would lock myself in the room, I'd cry myself to sleep. Some days I would beg for him to come home. Some days, he was being a douche, so I didn't want him to come home. There's so much in that, but I didn't really get to, when I say held the fort down, what I mean by that is I didn't really get to grieve the way I truly wanted to. I didn't have the time, really. I had to save face, and I had to make sure the boys weren't affected, and that, I just told them every day that Daddy was gone away to work, and so I just did what I had to do. You told all the children, Simon's children and your children, because he didn't give a date, so you just led them to believe he was just busy working, and they had no idea what was going on. Yeah, correct.
So basically, while Simon was out there slinging peen the whole time, Falynn had to hold down the fort. Not only did she have her own children that she had to keep comfortable, she also had Simon's children. So, it's the audacity for me. Simon was out there. Of course, we pretty much could speculate, and I'm just going to say alleged. Anything I say in this content is in my own opinion, based off of my own personal knowledge. Anything I say is based off opinion. This is my disclaimer. Just thought I'd say that. So we can assume that allegedly he was most likely with Portia around that time. And one thing about these men, when they get into hoeing, especially real heavy, they lose track, they lose focus. Men are not good multitaskers by nature. So it's either too much of one thing and not enough of something else. They don't know how to balance out and prioritize. So at this point, he's even sacrificing his own children by not being there for them and leaving his children on their stepmother. So this is the nature of Simon.
Yeah. That must have been. I would take them on our own trips. We drove to Tennessee at one point. That was fun. We did our own thing, had our own trips, throughout those 2 months. But to go back to the whole Jalen thing around Valentine's Day, which was actually, I think, the 16th or something. The reason why...
Now let me pause right here. Okay, Jalen is the guy that she ended up seeing when things started going left between her and Simon. Now this is the one they claim that she was cheating on Simon with. Jalen is the guy they claim got her pregnant during the time she was with Simon. She's going to explain and break down the timeline. Big ups to Tisha Tells again for thoroughly laying this out on the table, because a lot of Portia Praise team members, y'all been lying and swear up and down Falynn had cheated on Simon and got pregnant on Simon. But this is where she's going to explain the dates and everything, y'all.
Jalen was always there anyway. It's like he lived there. Along with my other assistant, I have 2 assistants. It was Jalen, my other assistant, my best friend, my mom, and my uncle, who were coming in and out the house after Simon left, because on the 15th, our gate broke. And so it wouldn't close, and we had these 2 guys come up to our gate, and they kept yelling something on the mic, on the screen. They were like, "Whoa, we want to take pictures. But they were really aggressive. And Simon was like, "Lock all the doors." He had called me and was like, "Lock all the doors. The gate is broken. They can get in." We didn't know what was going on, and it was just me with the boys, all the boys by myself. I was scared shitless. So I called literally everyone that I trusted to come and stay with me. Now, the video that you guys saw was first and foremost that door, the side door, which Jalen and my uncle used that side door all the time, but that door was broken. It wasn't closing at all. It would just gust open with the wind. And Simon, this door is broken. This door is broken. This door is broken. And then finally, when I had Jalen come over, I told him, no, he had come with me after I went out. I was back home by midnight. He was there. I said, go through that door that it was raining, so I went through the front. And I was like, go through that door and check it out, because he's Mr. Fix-It. Go check it out and try to see if at least, you can get it to close. It's not going to really lock, because the lock was all messed up. He was like, okay, cool. He went to the side and yada yada. I have the text messages of when I sent this to Simon. So he used that video footage of him walking through that door in the middle of the night, like, as me cheating. I never cheated on Simon, especially not with somebody who was in our house and around my kids.
Yeah, that's interesting you say that. So let me just kind of condense everything for the people that are just joining, so everybody can kind of catch. We're establishing a definitive timeline from what we've learned so far. For everybody joining late, right? Hit the like button while you guys are in here to balance some love. So what happened was there was some type of trouble brewing in January. You guys decided to try to reconnect. You took 4 or 5 days in Costa Rica, and you took a few more days in New Orleans. It was just the two of you guys, and you thought you reconnected. On Valentine's Day, the day before Valentine's Day, if I understand, you were at a couple's dinner that Simon was supposed to join you at, but he did not join because he was in the club or doing other stuff, I understand that. However, you guys did reconnect that night, and that's fine. You guys came back to the house you lived, your familiar home. Simon woke up. Now we are on Valentine's Day. He woke up at about 7:30. You both did. And he said, hey, you know what? The wind's blowing. I want to take a trip. Part of it, you were like, this is weird, but okay. But you're saying you had taken a trip previously, but it was a family trip where you took all the boys with you to kind of unplug from the drama at home and visit your parents. Simon decided to unplug, but he unplugged by himself. When he did not come home, he didn't give a date each passing day. You discovered he just wasn't coming home, and he also left you with, of course, your children and also your bonus children. You took his parental duties as well, keeping the boys occupied so they didn't know that there was any friction or strife. And you found out through Simon, I'm guessing, that he went down to Miami, but there was never any return date. It is what it is. Now, okay, so you guys, that's a lot to take in, but and that we get this timeline, right? The end of January, cool. January 18th, Simon gets wanderlust. He grabs his, whole bag. We'll shout that out to Falynn. He grabs his whole bag and he is out. Now, why that happened, you guys all remember the footage that Mr. Gabodia had posted saying this is the face of a cheating wife, like on some telenovela, right? Excuse me, Bob, this is the way that I conduct my life, so I keep my jokes at a minimum, but he's saying that this is a cheating wife. Now, the reality is the fact that he was aware that there was some type of security breach. The door was not secure. People had approached and tried to get into the house. So not only was Jalen there, but you had an assistant, you had family there, you had your uncle, basically anybody that could come and stay with you, for one, to keep you company, if I understand what you're saying, and two, for that extra bit of security. Now, you guys, for everybody's joining, this is the last bit, and then you'll be up to date. The reason why Simon even got that footage of Jalen walking to the side door is because that is where the security breach were, and the door just blow open. So you, when you guys were bringing food back, told Jalen, yo, go in there and see if somebody's there. Jalen went and checked, made sure everything was good, and then everybody joined everybody else. So it wasn't just Jalen staying at the house. The family was there.
At night, the reason why I told Jalen to come was because it was just at night. Everybody else that was staying there were taking turns throughout the day, based off whatever they had to do for the day. But at night, it was just my uncle and Jalen. So they were the only ones who were able to stay. So that's why I was like, okay, no, it can't just be my uncle. You need to come and help me. And, you know, I need to feel more safe. So, and Jalen had his own quarters in the house that he always stayed in. Okay. It's nothing out of the norm.
Okay, pause on that. So this is what, you know, anytime a man really wants to leave his marriage, he will look for any little thing to give him the right to push that green button and go. And that's basically what happened. I'm going to say allegedly, but we can pretty much assume that he was most likely involved with Portia during this time. So as she stated, she had allowed she had Jalen to come over because there was a security issue at hand. And Simon was aware of it and used it to his advantage by pulling the footage of Jalen coming in over there, making it seem as if Falynn was cheating. All this was straight game, and as we can clearly see, Simon is a professional con artist, a liar, and a scammer. So he knows how to go above and beyond to make himself look like he's not in the wrong. But let's continue.
Now, when you say your uncle, did Simon know your uncle? How long did your uncle stay there?
My uncle, he works here in Atlanta. He lives in Alabama. So he's always back and forth. And when he would be here working, he'd stay at our home. Yeah, he was my uncle.
So it's Valentine's Day, he's gone, the days turn into weeks, the weeks are starting to turn into months. Was it often Simon called to check on his children at least?
The answer to that sounds as though I would be talking poorly about someone else's parents, which I'm completely against. However, no. He wouldn't check on them, and I have those text messages too. No. It got to a point where I would get frustrated with him about not calling the children or not checking on them. I think the specific text message that I stated was, I said, "Oh, your children are fine, by the way," or something like that. You know, and he's like, "I was gonna check on them," you know.
So that's how sporadic the communication that you had to reach out to him, and you have text messages to prove this, to say, "Hey, you know, if you're wondering, the kids are healthy and they're fed, just FYI." That's how sporadic the communication was between you guys. Mm-hmm. Wow, that's a lot. So what were you feeling like in that time? Because I have to say, and you know, of course, I watched the Fox Soul interview with Claudia Jordan. You know, I'm a big fan of Claudia. What was your mental state? I agree with what Claudia said. Falynn, you are like the queen of class. I think it's earth sign energy. You keep that steady earth power where you're like the wind may blow, the oceans may flood, but I will remain. I don't know. What am I saying? I already know I wouldn't have kept it as classy as you, right? So I really admire the way you're doing it, because I do know that, again, we're about to go. I know that we live in a society where a woman is damned if she does and she's damned if she doesn't, right? If you stay quiet and do a firm upper lip, you're being a doormat, and then everything the guy's saying, if he wants to disparage you, he is at the mercy to kind of like write a narrative, and you're at his mercy. If he wants to be kind, he can be kind. If he wants to disparage, he can disparage. But if you open up and complain, then it's just like, you're just bitter, you're just this. So I appreciate this balancing act that you have to walk every day. But if you could just let us know, what were you feeling like in those times when Simon was gone? I know that you guys were in couple therapy. Were you still attending couple? Did he even bother to call in through couples therapy while he was gone? Or what was that like?
And Simon, yes, he was there. He He would call in. We would be on FaceTime with the therapist. As much as he needed to be, he was there. It was where things started getting rocky, because I was still. It's kind of embarrassing to say. I was still
friends here. We have you.
I was still being tenacious, I was still trying to hold him down, even though he was gone away from the home. He didn't have any valid reason to be. It's embarrassing, but yeah, I was. I was trying to make it work.
You were.
Yeah, and I felt as though he was trying to make it work, because even though he was gone, he was still there for therapy at least. So I'm like, okay, maybe this is just what's best. Maybe that we're just having a hiccup. Marriages have hiccups all the time. You're not going to throw in the towel over a hiccup. Cool. So I didn't think anything of it. However, where things started to change for the worse was when the therapy, surprisingly, and I was actually against therapy. Simon forced me to go to therapy. He said, no, we need therapy, and la la, and I'm like, okay, well, fine, let's go to therapy. But the therapist started asking him gut-wrenching questions about me. I mean, little simple questions, the more difficult questions, my strength, my weaknesses, things that a husband should know about his wife. Simon knew nothing about me. In 5 years, Simon knew nothing. He knew how I like my liquor.
That's shocking to hear. I mean, I'm a big softie. For you guys that don't know, I laugh, but I'll cry to drop it a hat. So that must have been so disheartening. Like, give an example of like the little things, like what's Fallon's favorite color, what color are her eyes, like give us an example of something that he just was like blinked out on you.
I actually did, after she started pointing those things out. I did actually ask him what my favorite color was. I was like, I don't know. I paint with the same two colors all the time. It's green and blue. But
this just goes to show you how unattentive. Simon really was in the marriage. He was not even paying attention to. He knew nothing about Falynn. That's how aloof he was. Didn't know her favorite color. Didn't know how she liked her drinks a certain way. That's just how much unemotionally available he was in his marriage. And you got to realize, keep in mind, he's dealing with, we're going to say allegedly, with Portia at this time. Okay, so even though he's participating in doing the couple's therapy FaceTime, he is already checked out. I think the purpose of him still doing the therapy was to make Falynn believe that they still got a marriage and everything is still well. He just had basically Falynn hanging on until he decided to make a move with Portia. But I'm trying to wait for her to explain the main part with the show, with how her and Portia met and all of that. And then that's when I'm going to shut it down and give y'all the rest of my commentary, because again, I don't want to use my whole content just based off of what Tisha has provided. But anyway, let's go ahead and continue, because I want her to get to that part with Portia, how they got on the show together and all of that.
I wear those colors every day. I chose my car to be blue. But whatever. But not every man knows that about his wife, so I let that one go. But it was just little simple things like, what does she like to eat? Just little simple things. What really blew me away was when she started getting to the harder things. And the hardest question she asked him, that was hard for me to swallow, was, what does your respect level for Falynn look like? And he chuckled. And he had no answer. And we both looked at him like, as women, we're like,
Yeah.
And there was no answer. So I said in that very moment, I said, do you respect me? Do you not respect me? And there was no answer. I mean, it was just like, there's nothing.
No answer. He just let that hang in the air after the chuckle.
Yeah.
And this is why you guys are going to marriage, trying to work out. And I imagine when this happened, was he back in the family home from his 2-month excursion in Miami?
During this session, I want to say he was back.
Okay. So this was. This is back to April. We're gonna make a timeline for those of you guys that's joining. I just know before I go into rehashing the timelines, I can keep getting everybody coming in the room drawn up. Forgive me for this, Val. I just want to make sure everybody's always on the same page. You did say something that when I said, you know, with marriage therapy, you said that you didn't want to go, but this time Simon did. What was your? Because I know a lot of people point to Real Housewives of Atlanta. What did your marriage, whatever you feel comfortable sharing, look like prior to that? Was it smooth sailing, bumpy road, the highs outweighed the lows? I know you comments about women being tenacious and fighting, even when people, I was all up and down your Instagram, but fighting even when people don't deserve it. I mean, was that in relation to the last year of your marriage, or did it, you know, kind of branch out into more?
Hell yeah. Yes, it was. But it was, sorry, you kind of lost me with what your question was.
Well, my question was, like, when you said he wanted to go this time, was this the first time you guys were in couples therapy? Was this the first time that you guys had major problems that made him leave the family house for 2 months?
Oh, yeah, no. Before we even got married, Simon and I were together for 5 years. So before we even got married, of course, we were not newbies to therapy. We had been to therapy a couple of times, individually, together. I mean, we love therapy. I love therapy to this day, you know. But, yeah, this was the first time within our marriage, after we got married, that we would be going. And I think Simon was having his own issues with trying to find his newfound place in my life, because I now had something that had nothing to do with him, which was a career that was building. And I had my own issues, because now here I am, I'm growing, you know, and I'm doing more things for myself, and I'm trying to find out how to properly balance being
Okay,
a
let
mom.
me see if I can get
I would help battered women, you know, talk to them about, you know.
Okay, I got to fast forward to see if I can get to the part where she met Portia.
If that were the case, this man wouldn't have come out and lied on my character the second I said, well, check the deuces to you too. Hell no, wasn't
That's
allowed.
fair enough. That's fair enough. Okay.
No, we didn't have an open marriage. We did not. He left. We were going through, you know, our stuff in couples, uncoupling. It went from coupling therapy to uncoupling therapy, back to couples therapy, back to uncoupling. Like when I say, I've said this several times in interviews before, there was a lot of back and forth. So if I went down the whole timeline of everything verbatim, it would just be confusing, because it was like, yes, I love you today, and then it's like tomorrow it's like, where are you at? And it's like, oh, well, I guess we aren't cool, you know, today. It was a lot of back and forth. However, no, we did not have an open marriage.
Got you. Okay. And again, with the back and forth, again, this is just from what I know from people I know that have been couples therapy. That's what it is, you know. Being in couples therapy is that, for whatever reason, we know if you watch Expose Part 3,
Got stronger. Some of my family don't talk to me at all. The friends, I I mean, I still have my little clique of friends. I only have 2 friends. But
I'm gonna put the brakes on this because I have to get to the part where her and Portia met. I'm also going to go ahead and interject with some other points she made. I thought this was a very significant piece of the puzzle before I get to the part where she explains how she met Portia. Everybody needed to hear this part because this is the part in which they were lying on Falynn by saying that Simon left Falynn because it's Falynn cheated, so Falynn is going to explain.
You know, because of the put out there. Right after that post of our initial post of our divorce, he then went live. I don't know if anybody can recall that he went live. Never once did he, in that live, did he say, I'm leaving my wife because she cheated on me with Jalen and she's pregnant by him. Never once did he do that. When did he actually come out and say that? He actually came out and said that only after I released the trailer to my interview.
Ah.
So, you get what I'm saying? That was in June.
I get what you're saying.
That's why I didn't say anything in that interview about that. I never addressed it in there because he didn't say it until after I had already filmed the interview. So now there's a new lie that I now have to defend myself, And the reason why it's so hurtful is because we were cool. We were fine. The only reason why we're not fine is because I said no and I was walking away.
Okay, ladies, sorry for a lot of these different interjections, but I wanted to get to the main part of the interview when she actually met Portia, and I was able to go back and narrow it down so we can get to the main issue at hand. How did she come about becoming a cast member on The Real Housewives of Atlanta? So let's get right into it. This is where she thoroughly explains how she met Portia and how the friendship or whatever started. So let's get it popping.
His car, he left his toothbrush, who knows, he left his children also. The children that him and Falynn up to that point have been co-parenting, his 2 boys and Falyn's 3 boys. She left for 2 months, but I did not know it was for 2 months. He just wasn't coming back home. And he trusted her enough, oddly. There's a lot of narratives going out there, and I feel like there's a lot of narratives coming from people that are trying to disparage you. But I do find it very telling that somebody trusted you enough with what I assume is the most valuable thing in the world, which is their own flesh and blood. Trusted you enough that they weren't even checking in. You were reminding them that they were okay. And I don't want to judge anybody's parenting skills, but it seems like people have treated hamsters better.
Fair use.
2 months the boys had with their father checking in. But
fair use.
That said, during that time, you still didn't feel as if, because you guys had up and downs, that the marriage was over because you guys were still attending couples therapy. So there was this back and forth where there was something you guys were fighting for with doubt. It wasn't just your imagination. You were fighting. If somebody was attending couples therapy with me, I would assume that they're fighting for the relationship too. Okay, now you talk about things started to change when you started to get your own career. Are you referring to Real Housewives of Atlanta, or why don't you tell us what really quickly what you did before you started Real Housewives of Atlanta, and also when did filming for Real Housewives of Atlanta?
I started filming in September. And
for all of you guys who have not watched correctly my expose, September is a month. So we think that you met Portia, from what we can see, when she came and knocked on your door with the pool party. Is that the first time you met Portia?
Yep, that was the day I met her.
Okay, so pump the brakes. The scene where Portia actually came to her house, that was the first time she ever met Portia. Okay, just wanted to reiterate on that.
Okay, so that's the first time that you met her, and your first time actually having Portia in your house. I know you did say on Fox Soul that after filming, you guys were upstairs having a drink, having a laugh, kicking. You even let her borrow items out of your closet. Another shocking claim.
She can't fit my clothes, but she could. She wore it out of my house. She fit it very well. My J-Lux label. And if you know J-Lux label, everybody fit it extra small, okay? That's why I love J-Lux.
So, I find that interesting that she actually not only introduced Portia to her husband at the time, but also to her closet, and was letting Portia try on some of her clothes. So, honey, all of that really got Portia motivated to going after this woman's husband. When she saw all them beautiful clothes and the lifestyle, yes, honey, she was on it right then. Let's continue.
Yeah, just snap all up in that. So yes, she did. Oh, and I never got to wear it.
Did she? And you never got it back. You never got it back. For those of you guys that don't know. So she squeezed herself into your J-Lux label and brought it out your house. And you never got that back. Now, wow. People are bold. Now, you also may claim that, and this is for any of you that didn't see the Fox Soul, that there was even a time where you received a text from Portia saying, like, oh my God, you're out, and she kind of met up with us, kind of third wheeling. Explain that a little bit more.
We were at this little hookah lounge, and me, Simon, and Jalen, and we were leaving in my security, and we were leaving, and Portia and Shamir were there, and she had called and said, "Girl, I'm here. I just saw you leave. Where y'all headed?" And I said, "Oh, we're about to go to Simon's nightclub," and I was like, "Y'all can come if you want." She was like, "Yeah, girl, we're not ready to go home. Yada yada." I was like, "Come on, let's go." So they came, we met up with them outside, we waited for them outside, so we could all walk in together, and yeah, we hung out that night. Talked about a lot of stuff, talked about the show. She was giving me pointers and things like that. Yeah, it was, were we the best of friends? No. Did I feel comfortable enough to have her around in our personal space? Yeah.
Did you feel comfortable enough to let her lead the J-Lux outfit that you hadn't even touched? Absolutely. That's the most important.
So let me pump the brakes here. Women, this is why you have to be very mindful of the succubus spirit. She will even come to you in pretending to build a friendship. This just goes to show you how conniving, how far a woman will go to come after what you have, so all of this about, oh, they wasn't friends and they didn't know each other. Listen, the fact that Portia was in this woman's home, in her closet, trying on her clothes, she was out on a date with Falynn and Simon. Listen, if this does not give y'all a whole nother outlook on Portia, I don't know what does. Listen, y'all got to be careful with the succubus spirit. Let's continue.
I don't care how much it costs back, because I was ready to wear that little orange dress too.
Exactly. So you were just like, So there was definitely something where there was comfort. And of course, did you trust her with your life? Of course not. But there was comfort. You felt safe enough her coming and actually being around her. So this is with filming. Now, when you were filming, I know that you actually said from other interviews that you felt comfortable to kind of come on Real Housewives of Atlanta. Were you familiar with the show? Was Simon familiar with the show and all the cast of characters?
Was he? I have never seen an episode of Housewives before I started filming.
Okay.
I used to do my Instagram lives a lot, especially during quarantine. That's where I really, I felt like I was doing a lot of light work, because I would help battered women, talk to them about, their situations, and, try to help them through things. I've been through a lot. And so I think that's how they probably found me. So I ended up telling Simon about it, and he was very familiar with the show. From season 1, like, he was very familiar with the show. I didn't even. It was. Oh oh yeah, he's very familiar with the show. I didn't even know who he was or anybody, for that matter. I knew who Candy was, because who doesn't know who Candy is? But like, I didn't know anything. So yeah, when I was very uncomfortable with doing it, because I mean, look at me. I'm like, I'm damn near an introvert. I'm trying not to be, but like I'm really awkward. So of course, yeah, it was kind of scary. And now I was afraid of it, and now the worst of the worst happened.
So, during filming, what was your impression of Portia, and what was Simon's impression of Portia?
Yes.
I actually told the producers, asked me who would I feel most comfortable with to be a friend of the show, to come on to the show. This is gonna taste like vinegar coming out of my mouth. I said Portia. I did. I was like, because I did my research. I watched 2 seasons, because I had, like I said, I'd never seen an episode. So I watched 2 seasons to do my homework. Yeah, I told them, when they asked me that, I was like, oh, Portia seems more like my type. She's fun, she's bubbly, she's silly, she's loud.
Yeah.
I done already told y'all the succubus spirit does not have to be unattractive, does not have to be ratchet looking. The succubus comes in a very manipulative form and in a very inviting form, because you have to realize with the succubus aim is to seduce. Not only is she skilled at seducing men sexually, she can seduce women into believing that she's keen on friendship, she's keen in sisterhood. She also has a way of manipulating women into feeling comfortable with her. All of this is straight up succubus behavior. Let's go.
It's like, she's really fun. I feel like it would just be easier for me to click with her. Well, cool. Cut to the first day of filming, and that's when I met her by the pool that everybody remembers.
Now, here's the funny thing. Simon was, how you said, Simon was a show from season 1. Once you got accepted onto Real Housewives, you started doing a little bit of research and do 2 seasons, because they were like, all right, pick a friend to be coupled up with, and that's what we're going to have to introduce you. So since I knew so much about the show, what did he have to say about Portia?
Oh, yeah. Well, nothing that he ever said. It wasn't just Portia. He said something not so favorable about Portia and one of the other castmates, who I'm not going to name. But yeah, he mentioned the whole thing with her, with his cousin, and he would laugh at her and dog her. It wasn't just her that he was talking badly about, but it's just.
Why do I have a strange feeling the other cast member she's referring to as Nene? I have a strange notion that she's talking about Nene, because Nene was on that Nigerian man thing. So I would not be surprised if Simon was low-key dogging Portia and Nene. I guarantee you, but go ahead.
What people do when they watch reality shows, he was all up and through the business of a lot of people. And so that's what Simon does. He's messy. He knows a lot about a lot of people. So, or he claims to know. So I only know what Simon told me. I could really care less what anybody's doing, but it was just shocking to me that you was talking so poorly about people, and now all of a sudden you want to share your life with them. I don't know.
So the reason I'm asking this question is because I saw your soul, and you said, for those of you guys that don't know, there has been a rumor that Portia has a car, a Rolls Royce, married to African man, and she also received a Birkin. Now, when I say rumor, Claudia Jordan actually bought it to the show. A few other cast members.
I remember that. If y'all been keeping up I don't keep up with it as much, but I remember, y'all, when the rumor was first out there that Portia had an African sugar daddy that was splurging on her and bought her a car. I think it was somebody else too. I can't remember if it was Phaedra. I think Kenya busted it out, but y'all can relate it to me in the comment section. But I do recall Portia stating she had got a car from some type of African man. So, but anyway, I'll continue to let it play. If y'all can remember that, press 1. If y'all can remember in the comments when Portia was supposedly got a car from a African man.
That. And at the reunion, I forget what it was, they actually got into an argument, and Claudia said those infamous clapbacks, sue me if you got that life. Spoiler alert, Portia never told anybody. How did he let you know? Like, again, when he said that it was through his cousin, was it just a flippant remark? Was he talking trash about it? Did he let you know, like, how she got it?
No, but I'm really green in those areas. But no, yeah. He didn't know how she got it. He just said that he slept with his cousin for that Rolls Royce, and he was laughing because it was so old. I don't know what year it is. And then when we watched actually the seasons prior to the one, that's when he mentioned it again, and he said, "Oh, she still has that Rolls Royce, that old thing." Like, he was the one that I didn't know anything about what she drove or anything. I'm doing my homework, to be on the show. I didn't know anything. It was just I only mentioned it because it was just interesting to me. So,
wow. Okay, that's deep. That he's actually with someone that he was really claiming for sleeping with people for bags and cars. So apparently Claudia wasn't the only one. Seems like her information's checking out. But this isn't
gaslighting at its finest. He was of the low-key dragging Portia, but at the same time, he was smashing her and talking trash about her to his wife. I mean, ex-wife now, but to his wife, Falynn, at the time. Wow, it amazes me how manipulative, how he really played this thing very smoothly. If this ain't dirty, I don't know what is, honey. But continue.
Let's segue into this. When did you actually find out about Portia? Was your spidey sense tingling? Like, when did you find out about Portia?
About Portia? What do you mean? When they were together?
So the Portia and Simon were together. Or did you have any clues that Portia was kind of seeing Simon? Did you find out the rest of us? Did you find out earlier? When did you find out that Portia and Simon were up to no good?
I found out about the whole engagement at the same time as everyone else. I was just in shock. I didn't even know that they were seeing each other. However, I did know that Simon, while he was away, for those couple of months that he was with people, with somebody, because I wouldn't talk to him, so whether or not it were, I don't know.
So when you say that you knew Simon was with other people, even though you guys were going to marriage counseling, did you guys have an agreement that, like, okay, we're going to be separated, we'll try to work with us? I mean, were both of you guys allowed to see other people, or are you just assuming?
Were we both allowed to see other people? If that were the case, this man wouldn't have come out and lied on my character the second I said, "Well, check the deuces to you too." Hell no, I wasn't allowed.
That's fair enough. That's fair enough. Okay.
No, we didn't have an open marriage. We did not. He left. We were going through, our stuff in couples, uncoupling. It went from coupling therapy to uncoupling therapy, back to couples therapy, back to uncoupling. Like, when I say, I've said this several times in interviews before, there was a lot of back and forth. So if I went down the whole timeline of everything verbatim, it would just be confusing, because it was like, yes, I love you today, and then it's like tomorrow it's like, where are you at? And it's like, oh, well, I guess we aren't cool, today. It was a lot of back and forth. However, no, we did not have an open marriage.
Got you. Okay. And again, with the back and forth, again, this is just from what I know from people I know that in couples therapy. That's what it is. You know, being in couples therapy is that commitment to try to work it out. But depending on what session is, sometimes you leave in the car and go get a drink, and other times, no. You both have to be escorted out with security. So that's the way couples therapy is sometimes. But you found out around the time. With the rest of us, there was an interesting thing I do remember that you unfollowed Mocha on the Mother's Day post. Now, remember on the Mother's Day post, for those of you guys listening, you probably remember they posted that picture where Portia had her hand on Simon's chest. A lot of Portia stands were like, you guys are being ridiculous. That is clearly her mother's boyfriend. Let it go. You guys are disgusting. You know, and then we heard later, a few days later, that they were actually engaged. So why did you unfollow her? If you found out that they were together at the same time everybody else did, why did you unfollow her when you saw that picture of her on her hand on the chest?
Well, first and foremost, this was when I had already moved out of the house. So I was in my own home when I found out. The last thing I wanted to see was the man that I'm trying to get over and move forward from on my timeline when I wake up in the morning. That's first and foremost.
Okay.
That was first and foremost. Secondly, it just gave me weird vibes. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't think that they were engaged. You know, I understand people were pointing out the ring or whatever, but, you know, people wear rings on that all the time. I really didn't think it was anything. And it just gave me weird vibes.
That was Miss Diane's boyfriend. I'll be honest with you. I thought she was being nice to her new stepdaddy. I had no idea either. So.
Yeah, like it just gave me weird vibes. That's all. And I'm like, ew. This is just
okay. So and this tracks what you're saying. Okay, that's completely understandable. So you just, of course, you didn't want to see his face. You thought it was weird because you're like, I didn't even know you guys were that cool. And then when they announced their engagement, that's when you were like, oh, that's not Miss Diane's boyfriend. You make an interesting point that you say that you were already out the house. We know that the engagement and that picture happened around the week of Mother's Day, which is the week of May 9th, right? So, but you say that you were already out the home. Now, at this point...
Now, I'm going to go ahead and pump the brakes here, y'all, because I've been playing Tisa's content the majority of the upload, you know, and I don't want to overly use the information. So, I'm going to go ahead and leave the link so you ladies can listen thoroughly. That way you can come to your own conclusion. You can draw your own analysis based off of this interview. But for the most part, you know, because I already know I done took up a lot of time just playing the majority of the content from Tisha Tales. Again, big ups to Tisha Tales. Make sure y'all hit that like button for her when you go over there. You know what I mean? This is my whole intake on this before I get ready to shut it down. This just really goes to show how low people will go to get what they want. And from the day I heard the rumor about Falynn cheating on Simon, Falynn having another child on Simon, that's the reason Simon left, it did not sit well with me, because she even said it in the interview. She was like, if that was the case, if I disrespected him in such a degrading manner, that would have been the main thing he would have said. He would have said, I'm divorcing, you know, Falynn because she cheated on me and she had a child from another man on me. He never said that. Even to this day, I have yet to hear him say it. And if he did, it was far later on down the line. It just sounds like to me that Simon, from what we're seeing and what we're hearing now, and Portia, both of these individuals had their own hidden agenda. And like one pastor told me, anytime you have two people who come together and they both have motives, most likely it's not going to last long. Anything with a hidden agenda is not going to last long, and that's the God's honest truth. if you meet a man and you're only with him and because you have an ulterior motive and vice versa from him, I guarantee you it is not going to last long. Sooner than later, your true colors are going to reflect. And I really appreciate this interview, because when I say Tisa really broke it down, she was going back and reiterating. So what you're saying is, around January, when you met him, y'all was separated. She kept clarifying it, and I'm glad she was doing that, because the Portia Praise team was so determined on trying to make Falynn look like the succubus. Falynn was not the succubus. Falynn was a wife doing the best she could to be a mother to Simon's children, a mother to her own children, and obviously she wasn't that bad of a person if Simon chose her. But now looking at it, it seems as if Simon would choose anybody who he feels could help him earn permanent residency in the United States of America. So you can tell in Falynn's voice, and this interview was 2 years ago, okay? You can tell she was still grieving, the loss of a marriage. And I'm sure that took a lot of courage and a lot of strength to be very transparent, especially when you got a lot of people around here praising the succubus and the incubus, not having no respect or regards for what another woman is going through. And you know what? I can't speak for everybody else, but listen, ladies, I'm very big on another woman rejoicing off of another woman's pain. I have a pet, that's a pet peeve for me. And even though, it may seem like I'm rejoicing, over the karma that has finally made its way to Portia's address, the only reason I'm rejoicing is because I'm tired of these succubus, these side chicks thinking that they can parade their Jezebel behavior and flaunt it, not have no shame, not have no embarrassment, and the fact that you are so public, you so out in the open, you rubbing it in everybody else's face. Let's not forget, Nene did the same thing too, because Naomi, her Nigerian man, was married as well. I know y'all want to sweep that under the rug because we got some Lenithia fangirls, and y'all worship the ground these ladies walk on, and y'all hate when somebody's not saying something nice about them. But I'm going to keep it real over here. This ain't the bakery. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. So if you in your feelings because I'm talking about these ladies who y'all praise and give worship service to every Sunday, then you're welcome to exit the stage gracefully, because I have no empathy or no sympathy for the succubus. What makes Portia different from Ariane? What makes her different? How is it y'all don't like Ariane, but y'all can sit up here and praise Portia? Isn't it the same thing? Both of them was involved with married men. Only difference is Portia didn't get pregnant. It's the same thing. Nene done did it twice. Nene got with Greg when Greg was married. But yet y'all Nene praise team fellowship warriors, y'all don't want to talk about that. When Greg died and she got with Naomi before the ink on Greg's death certificate could even dry, what did y'all do? Y'all defended Nene and said that Nene deserved to move on, and you can't tell a person how to grieve. Y'all sat up here and made all kind of excuses. Y'all, nothing burns me more than seeing women condone Jezebel succubus behavior. Anytime a woman is the demise of another woman's marriage, she is the cause, in addition to the husband, of that woman's pain. Y'all should be ashamed to even glorify and praise women who do this, because you know what? If the shoe was on the other foot, y'all wouldn't be praising it. It wouldn't feel good to y'all. And only women who have been burned and betrayed in this manner can truly understand and relate to where I'm coming from. But for the rest of you who haven't experienced and who think you got it all in the bag because your husband didn't step out on you, or you feel like you're so beautiful and you're so fine that it can never happen to you, you'll be the main one to fold. You wouldn't handle it near as gracefully as Melody, near as gracefully as Falynn. Y'all wouldn't be able to handle it. The same women y'all shame and ridicule, if it was you and your husband did it to you, I pray he never does, but you will have a whole different outlook on life. Listen, pain is an eye opener. It will make you look at things in a whole different light. And until you experience that pain, which is that reality, that rude awakening, it's so easy to be on the outside looking in and you not having any regards or any empathy or compassion for what another woman's go through. Because at the end of the day, yes, all women, we all are different. Some of us got more college degrees than the other. Some of us got more money than the other. Some of us been married longer than the other. Some of us are single moms. But at the end of the day, at the same token, all of us are very fragile when it comes to love, when it comes to being disrespected. That's one thing all women have in common. We don't like pain. Whether you're a black woman, white woman, rich woman, poor woman, we don't like pain, and we don't take public humiliation easily. We don't take it easy. And that's why it ruffles my spirit when I see women going in on male. You knew how Martell was. Why didn't you leave him a long time ago? Yet y'all up here praising Portia, overlooking the fact she was building a friendship with this woman, all up and through this woman's house, all up and through this woman's closet, only to end up all up and through her husband. And y'all see nothing wrong with it. And y'all wonder why men like Martell disrespect us. You wonder why men like Naomi, Nene's boo thing, and Simon, the scammer. Y'all wonder why these men take advantage of women. Because we will not hold these men to the fire, and we will not hold these women to the fire who get involved with these type of men. I've never seen so many women congratulate Portia like Portia earned him righteously. And the fact that you had women actually getting offended when people was calling Portia out in the comment section. I was all up and through Facebook. I saw you. I saw you defending her. I saw you talking about how Portia looked so happy. I saw y'all caping for that Jezebel behavior. And this is why God is allowing it to unfold the way it is, because God is trying to get a stronger message across. He's trying to show people who see absolutely nothing wrong with this that he will not allow it. It don't matter how much people praise you for all your wrongdoing. At the end of the day, God is going to convict you of your wrongdoing in front of the very people who praised you. And you still got people defending Portia. Oh, well, y'all don't know yet. It's not enough facts. When the court documents are all over. And y'all still trying to lie and defend the Jezebel. Y'all still trying to protect the succubus. Until it happens to you. Let it happen to a woman you love. Let it happen to your daughter. Let it happen to your mother. Let it happen to your sister. Y'all see nothing wrong with this. Because the truth is, a lot of y'all out here, y'all are succubuses. You sucking off somebody else's husband right now. That's why you don't see nothing wrong with it. But I don't have to convict you. That's going to be between you and your Lord and Savior. I kept y'all long enough. Make sure y'all hit that like button. Hit that like button. I'm definitely going to be working on another project. I'm going to be working on some things soon, because I think this succubus message definitely needs more promotion. It definitely needs to be addressed way more frequently. But it's an uncomfortable subject. A lot of women don't like to talk about succubus behavior, because once upon a time they was a succubus, or right now they are a succubus, or they are in a marriage with the man who is involved with a succubus. It's very uncomfortable. Nobody likes to talk about these things, but as the good word says, God cannot heal what you don't reveal. As long as we keep sweeping these issues up under the rugs, as long as we keep praising these succubus, these side chicks, these women who done got involved with married men, as long as we keep praising them and putting them on a pedestal. Y'all actually will sit up here telling Portia how fine Simon is. I see nothing fine about a man who allowed his wife to get close to a female who indeed in turn he ended up getting involved with. I see nothing good looking about him. To me, he looked just like the dude on the Uncle Ben's Boss. He looked like somebody's uncle. Because Portia is somebody y'all like. He could have been a drunk off the street. Y'all still would be like, oh, he's so fine. Oh, he looks so good with Portia. A lot of you women, y'all make me sick. Y'all are ridiculous. The stuff that y'all condone, this is the reason why men give us hell now. Because y'all sitting up here co-signing they fuckboy shenanigans. But anyway, let me go ahead and shut it down, y'all. I done said enough for the evening. But y'all know I'm going to be back, in the words of Biggie Smalls, with another one. Y'all know I'm going to be coming back. So anyway, please, before you exit the congregation, hit that like button. Like I told y'all, I have cable. Stop paying $100. Stop paying $200 for cable. You got a Fire Stick, inbox me, hit me up. Only $27 a month automatically for 2 lines. You need more information, you want to know more about it, email me, okay, at cafedeparis79@yahoo.com. That's all. Email me. Y'all got any tumblers, any gifts? Email me. Put in your order. I'll make it happen. Anyway, y'all have a wonderful night, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.